Joining me now at the Democratic National Committee Summer Convention is the chair of the DNC, Tom Perez. Thank you for joining us. And we're talking now on the eve of a big vote for you. And I'm just going to talk on one element of a package of proposals. The one that's most intensely being lobbied today is whether or not to change the power of superdelegates, these elected or appointed officials who automatically get to go to the nominating convention and have a say, a vote in a particular nominee. So, Chairman Perez, what is the assessment now? Will you win tomorrow?
Oh, I feel confident. What we're here doing in Chicago is really are two things. Number one, we've got 74 days until the weekend, 74 days till November 6th, and we've been giving members a toolkit for victory, talking about how we can go back to our communities and continue the great organizing work we've done, continue the great communicating. And then we're also talking about some really important reforms that are about growing the party. They're about building trust. They're about rebuilding trust, frankly, in some cases. And they're about making sure that people feel excited to be Democrats. We have a 2020 election cycle right around the corner. And our goal is very simple. We want to make sure that every person who runs and everyone who participates feels like the process is fair. And our reforms are designed to increase participation in primaries, make caucuses where they exist more inclusive, and addressing these issues of superdelegates that you mentioned. And by limiting the influence of superdelegates, it sends a very, very important signal to our voters that we are indeed the party of the grassroots.
Well, the party is united on some of the changes in the primary and caucus rules, but this has developed into more, after all these months of working on the Unity Commission, hours before the vote now, there seems to be some question whether or not you can get it passed. When you said you're confident, have you done your vote counting?
Hey, in this world we learn arithmetic, and I feel confident that we will be moving forward with the entire package of what I think are really important and bold reform.
When you say entire package, there are some people who want to separate the elements of the package out rather than have an omnibus vote.
Well, I don't know what people who may want to do things will do. What I do know is that what we always do in the DNC, we'll bring together a package of reforms that are all united in the vision of growing the party, making it more inclusive, and that's what we'll have tomorrow. And again, they involve moving toward same-day voter registration, making sure that if you are in a caucus state, that if you're a veteran deployed overseas, you can vote absentee, or you're a shift worker, that you don't have to take time off without pay to go and vote, that you can participate. And then the superdelegate issue is a very important issue because we need to make sure that the grassroots are heard.
The Congressional Black Caucus had issues. Had complaints about being stripped of the automatic vote. How are you addressing that?
Well, we've had a number of good conversations, and we have many African Americans on the DNC strongly supporting this. So there's the issues here are important issues, and some members of the Black Caucus have indicated an interest in making sure that they retained their superdelegate status. The challenge that we have in one of the earlier votes, or one of the earlier proposals, would have allowed members of Congress to retain superdelegate status along with governors and a few others. And the challenge with that is when you create two tiers of delegates, that first class tier of delegates would have been 70% white and 70% male. And the second tier of delegates, who would have had a lesser a set of rights, was 50-50 male and female, and they are also far more racially diverse. And so we concluded that that's not consistent with our values. And
so Donna Brazil, former interim chair of the party, African-American woman, she says that superdelegates are the sauce that make the mix of Democrats work, and she's against changing the superdelegate. Well, I heard she was very persuasive, and she gave an impassioned speech in the closed session this morning. Has that, during these last hours, what have you done to solidify yours?
Well, we have a lot of folks who have passion, and the beauty of it is I welcome passion because if we have a party of apathetic people, then we aren't going to win elections. And so, I'm quite confident that we have a very broad constituency of folks who support this, because you know what, we got to grow the party. Here's a really important point. Young people, when Barack Obama got elected, the most typical young person was a registered Democrat. Now today, by almost 10%, the most typical young person is a registered unaffiliated voter. Young people may share our values, but they're not sharing our party label. And we lost this election, which meant in 2016 afterward, we've lost a lot of power. And we have to regain power. And when you regain trust, you regain power.
So going into, on another topic, going into the midterms, is it a good idea, bad idea for Democrats to talk about impeaching Donald Trump?
Well, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about health care. We're talking about making sure you have a right to form a union. We're talking about making sure that the economy works for everyone, not just a few at the top. Donald Trump is the most dangerous president in American history. Donald Trump, we need guardrails in Washington, D.C. because
as a tactic, we're 74 days until the election. Someone, what advice are you giving to candidates? Because you are having workshops here and practical advice. Are you saying you should keep a distance? I mean, that's what Nancy Pelosi has been advising. What's your advice?
Well, our advice is understand what your constituents understand what's keeping your constituents up at night. And what we're learning across the country is people are concerned about the fact that prescription drug costs are through the roof. People are concerned about the fact that they have a loved one or they themselves have a pre-existing condition and Republicans want to take away their health care. People are concerned with the fact that K-12 education is having major challenges because of Republican disinvestment. And we're winning elections because we've been focusing on the issues that people care about. We're fighting for good jobs. We're fighting for health care. We're fighting, frankly, for our democracy. And there are no guardrails in Washington because the Republican leadership has a sock in their mouth. They've allowed Donald Trump to run us off the side of the road into a big ditch. And this election is about making sure we restore our democracy, making sure we have guardrails in Washington, checks and balances there, checks and balances across the country. That's why Bruce Rauner is going to lose here in Illinois, because we need someone who knows how to put a budget together. And Bruce Rauner couldn't even do that.
We know we had the wrong budget impasse. I have one last thing that I think will pass. I just have a question. Because when we talk about the superdelegate, it was an issue pushed by Bernie Sanders. And I know you've talked at this session a lot about trust, but there is a provision, I guess, that your members will be asked to vote on. And I just want to know where a presidential candidate will have to affirm that indeed they're a member of the Democratic Party. And Bernie Sanders, to this day, never joined the Democratic Party. Is this a position, an item that you think will pass or is important to?
Well, this is an item that will pass. This has been an item that's been in the Democratic Party charge for years. It was in place in 2016. It's been strengthened in 2020. And just to correct the question that you asked on the superdelegate reform, Howard Dean supports it. Tim Kaine supports it. Tom Perez supports it. This isn't about Hillary and Bernie. This is about the future of our party. And I was a strong and proud Hillary Clinton supporter. And I am here with the likes of Tim Kaine, who spoke this morning. We had a video of Tim Kaine talking about his support for superdelegates. We're not focused on the past. We're focused on the future. And the reason I feel so confident about our reforms and the passage of the entire package is because people understand that we have to grow the party. People understand that when you are speaking to the concerns of people, that's the formula for growing the party. And this piece of paper here is, again, something that has been part of what we've done before, and it's strengthened in 2020.
So looking to the future, I guess we'll see Saturday how things go. I thank you very much for joining me.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
This is Lynn Sweet for the Chicago Sun-Times at the Democratic National Committee Summer Meeting in Chicago with Chairman Tom Perez. Thank you.